we learned through our agent that the Smothers Brothers wanted to do a half-hour comedy. Now, we're not talking about the Smothers Brothers show that became famous. This is the one that failed.
This is before then.
This is before the CBS fame came the Smothers Brothers show that Chris and I wrote. Aaron Spelling had come up with an idea for the Smothers Brothers, which is that one of them would be an angel. We were hard enough up to wanting to write that we decided that we would swallow hard and do it, you know. And what we decided that we should do was to satirize the whole. There were a lot of shows on there. Then there were fantasy shows, Bewitched, My Favorite Martian, kind of shows that
I Dream of Jeannie.
I Dream of Jeannie. That were pretty much fantasy. And we said, because we got the Smothers Brothers, and they're really sharp guys, we can kid this whole idea of the fantasy show, and so we did that. We made it purposely very satirical, and it was a good pilot. It was in the days before the networks put up money themselves to do shows. In those days, sponsors put up the money and made pilots with their money and then shopped them around the networks. There was not that kind of development kind of thing that's done now. And they would own the show. And they took the show around and to all the networks, and it sold in the first day to CBS. They loved it. And Aaron was delighted. Aaron Spelling was delighted because we had made him look good. The studio was delighted. And then, as I say, it was full of satire, and it was young. It was aimed at a hip audience, what the Smothers Brothers were in their 20s, and it aimed at their kind of an audience, tongue-in-cheek and all this kind of stuff. The guy, Alberto Culver Company, that made Alberto VO5 and all that kind of stuff, pomades and things like that, and hair products for women. They owned it. The guy at Alberto decided he loved it so much, he would show it to the girls in the plant back in wherever the hell it was, whether it was somewhere in Michigan or whatever. And he had he would bring them into they must have had a theater there or something, and he'd show it, and they didn't get it. The people who were sitting there and the girls off the assembly line didn't understand it. So he panicked and said, "This is terrible." Now, he had liked it. The network had liked it, but he was terrified now that nobody was going to get it.
The girls who made shampoo didn't like it.
That's right, that they didn't get it. So Chris and I had written 5 scripts by then. And it was, as I say, it was good, funny stuff. And the Smothers Brothers were really liking what they were reading, and they were kind of hip guys, you know. And we were pleased about that, but what is going to happen now? So they decided to bring in another producer, and then Phil Sharp, who had done a lot of comedy in his life. And Phil Sharp brought with him a story editor named Alex Gottlieb, who proceeded to take all of our scripts and rewrite them by half so he could share credit on them, thereby ruining every one of them as far as we were concerned. And we said, that's it. We wash our hands of this. We're not going to do it. It was a miserable experience in our lives. The show went on the air, got killed. Although what was interesting is that the original pilot, the one that Chris and I had written and which had originally sold, had been reviewed by several people in national magazines prior to its coming out and reviewed very well. And then they killed the next version of it that came out because they had changed it enough that they had really messed with it,
But
and
did
it
that
wasn't
version
funny
air?
anymore. My
You were-
version, our version never aired. No.